WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST.net. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there having a turkey breast and some cranberry sauce, some pumpkin pie, eggnog, all that good stuff. I see what this guy's eating out there on weekends. I follow his Twitter, and he's, of course, watching the Ravens and selling cars out of Coons Ford Security Boulevard. But, I've seen all the turkey and the trimmings, but I tell you what we got under the turkey this year. 5-5, Dennis, back to 500, and really everyone is saying the Ravens in the catbird position now to be that sixth wild card team, given their what's in front of them, and pitching a shutout on Sunday in Green Bay. I'll take a shutout on the road in Green Bay.
Oh, absolutely, Nestor. You know what? It's amazing what a victory does for the Ravens. They're definitely the sixth seed right now, the inside track for that final playoff spot. If they could just figure out this offense, which is maddening, if they could just get some kind of offense going, this team can make some noise in the playoffs. It's not a stretch in the weak AFC.
Well, you talk about the offense, and look, we'll give it to the defense. We'll talk about backup quarterbacks. We got another one coming in there next Monday night with Tom Savage. We're going to see Cleveland and Indianapolis and these other bad teams. These are the teams, though, that I want to see the offense start to eat a little bit, start to get well. And I don't know that Sunday wasn't a get well. I mean, I think when you look down, you see the numbers at the end of the game. That's fine. But sustaining drives, being able to run the football when they have to run the football, and I know I tweeted about that late in the game as well, that you'd like to just shut the door by saying, let's run the ball. But then you look back and you see where Ronnie Stanley is, and you see that Marshall Yonda's not there, and you see that the offensive line is the part of this that's going to have to get better if they're going to play into January.
Yeah, they definitely need Ronnie Stanley at left tackle. You saw James Hurst was nothing but a turnstile at left tackle. But to his defense, that's not his position. He's playing out of position. He's a better guard than he is a left tackle, a better right tackle than he is a left tackle, or a left guard for that matter. And that's why I couldn't figure out why the Ravens wouldn't pin a tight end right next to him to give the guy some much-needed help. I mean, it's the same scenario as last year when Joe Flacco got hurt, got rolled up because of a missed block by James Hurst. So why not give this young man more help on that left side versus leaving him out there on the island by himself? Good thing that Clay Matthews got hurt. That was very fortuitous for the Ravens, and they only had to deal with Nick Perry, who also got to Joe Flacco a couple of times, too many times for my liking. But still, they've got to figure out that scheme, and hopefully when Stanley comes back this week, they'll be able to shore up that offensive line, put James Hurst next to him, Jensen doing a good job at center, and figure out, be able to run the ball effectively. They couldn't get the running game going. Alex Collins got most of his yards after contact. He was getting hit in the backfield time and time again. But if they could just figure it out, man, this team can. Look, it's not a stretch for them to make the AFC Conference Championship game. It's not.
Well, yeah, all that's laying out there. We'll talk about Pittsburgh in a couple of weeks as well. We'll see them in New England, who, if we get to see New England, it's been a pretty good year around here, right? Like if I told you right now we're going to play the New England Patriots in Foxborough at some point, we'd say a lot's going to have to go right. And part of what goes right is the defense travels, and it stops the run, and it stops a backup quarterback, and it frustrates him, and it takes the ball away. And just from the handbook of backup quarterback and how to beat a backup quarterback on a 28-degree day at Lambeau Field, I'll take the defense all day. And I like the way the secondary's playing. I like that there's been a little bit more pass rush. I like that the run-stopping thing feels to me to be that we've solved that problem for the time being, and I'll let you know when we see Le'Veon Bell as well. But, parts of this team, as much as you would have said, well, everybody wanted to be the Chiefs in September because they were the best team, right, for a month. The Ravens need to be a better team over the next month, and I saw signs of that on Sunday, Dennis.
Oh, no question about it. You mentioned the defense. What about the front seven, the defensive line in particular? Willie Henry, 2 sacks. Matt Judon, 2 sacks. Terrell Suggs, 2. Matt Judon was a big, big story. The way he stepped up this year and played so well opposite and across from Terrell Suggs gives the Ravens such a potent pass rush. The guy's stout against the run. My goodness, the defense. Carl Davis came up big. That defensive line was in the backfield the entire game. And look, Aaron Rodgers wasn't there. We all get that, but we're not going to apologize for this win either.
Dennis Galatzis, he's doing it out there at Coons Ford Security Boulevard and doing the SSV on WNST. Heard each and every Thursday from 3 until 5, and I'm sure you got some Thanksgiving time happening out there this week as well. But this is turned into a season for the Ravens fans that 3 or 4 weeks ago we were certainly feeling like there might not be a season right now, Dennis.
No, we were looking at a top 5 draft pick, Nestor, and as much as I want this team to improve for the draft, I'd rather not. I'd rather pick later rather than earlier in the draft. Look, I think it's good for the fans. Hopefully, the fan base will show up this Monday night against Houston and show up big and will this team to victory, because every game counts. A lot of people said this game wasn't big against Green Bay. Of course, it was. Look, the margin for losing games just isn't there. The margin for error just isn't there. So this was a big victory. I don't care if they're playing the Little Sisters or the poor. A win is a win is a win. And look, there was fans that said, look, rather than this team make the playoffs and be one and done, they'd rather see them lose and get better draft picks. That's not my mindset. I don't know how somebody can think that way when you have a chance to get into the postseason, because as we've seen in the past, when teams get hot, anything can happen. They're playing with house money. They get a couple of guys back. They get healthier. And you still have a quarterback there in Joe Flacco that's got a ring on his finger. That not many guys playing right now have that going for them.
Do you find him to be too maligned for your tastes?
Oh yeah, he's definitely an easy target. He's not an emotional guy; never has been. Doesn't look the part when he speaks. He's very soft spoken. He looks the parts physically, but look, it's very easy to pin the blame on Joe Flacco. He's got that huge contract. People have said he hasn't lived up to that contract, but no, in his defense, look at the offensive line. You've got one legitimate starter from a year ago on that offensive line. And that was Stanley, and he was even out for the game. So you were 0 for 5 in terms of offensive linemen that started a year ago. He just doesn't have time. Maybe Dennis Pitta was right. Maybe all he has time to do is to look at one read and check down. He doesn't have the luxury of time to go through progression. So of course, Joe Flacco really gets a tough beating. That's why I'd love to see him win the second Super Bowl, because I think a second Super Bowl will put this cat in the Hall of Fame, and I think it deserves that.
Well, I don't know. It's going to be interesting with Eli Manning. As he's rounding the end of this thing and stole another football game on Sunday. I mean, we had all heard that Ben McAdoo had lost the Giants and the Chiefs. I mean, every week there's a wake-up call. And the Ravens, I think, got theirs with the Bears loss, right? I mean, that Bears loss said to us around here, this is a bad football team, right? Or this is going to be a bad season when you're losing home games to the Chicago Bears. Now, the Ravens are stealing some games here with this injury with Aaron Rodgers, and who knows what happens with Pittsburgh 3 weeks from now or Detroit week after next. But there are a couple of hard games left here, but as long as they don't stub their toe against a Jacoby Brissett or against a DeShone Kizer or against Marvin at the end of the year, and we saw Marvin beat Denver over the weekend as well, I really do feel like this is setting up to be, let's get some purple lights out around here. I don't think this is a great team. I think this can be a great defense, if that matters, and I think we started to see some elements of that come together. But running the football a little better, I think they're capable of that. The wide receivers they have, now they get Woodhead back if they stay healthy. Can the offense improve? Yes. Defensively, I don't know what more you would want out of them, because they're not going to be able, other than maybe against Matt Stafford, and Detroit can't run the football at all, or against Pittsburgh, they're not really going to have a chance to prove much against anyone not named Brett Hundley as an example, right? I mean, they're not going to have to beat top quarterbacks to get into January.
No, the great thing about the Ravens' schedule is that they get Marvin Lewis's Bengals at home. I feel a lot worse if we had to travel to Cincinnati like we had the last umpteen years to play them there. But the fact that we get them at home, we also get the Lions at home, I think that's good. The Dome team coming to M&T Bank in a cold December, I think bodes well for the Ravens. As you mentioned, this defense, that's what they'll pin their hopes on. The offense, they just need a couple plays here and there. I couldn't figure out, though, Nestor, why they wouldn't throw the ball deep. Of course, you were at the stadium yesterday, and you can speak on it, because the Packers' defensive backs were very poor. So I didn't get why they didn't take a shot deep to Macklin or to Wallace at some point.
I don't know that they could protect Flacco long enough to do that. Fair enough. Literally. I mean, from my eyes, everything about the thing got conservative, especially in the third quarter, as the lead got real. I mean, the last thing you wanted to do was kick a ball around, have somebody fall down, and and a 2-score game becomes a 1-score game, because when it was a 2-score game, it really felt like the Ravens had the thing handled. When the thing got to be 13, I'm like, all right, I'm feeling good about it at that point. But it was always one play away. And special teams wise, that's another thing. I mean, the Ravens have really good special teams, right? I mean, and being able to kick a field goal, the Packers had a chance to kick a 58-yard field goal at one point and put some points up on the board, and didn't do it because they don't have the kicker we have.
Yeah, the Ravens look at their last 6 games, Nestor. They should be favored in 5 of those 6 games. The only game they should be an underdog should be to the Steelers December the 10th, okay? But against the Texans, the Lions, the Browns, the Colts, and the Bengals, this team should be favored. If it holds true, they'll be 10-6. They'll be in good position for the playoffs.
Dennis Kalatzis joining us here. He is the SSV on WNST, out on Twitter, and, of course, hosts radio around here 3 to 5 each and every Thursday. It is the SSV on WNST. What's going on at Coons Ford Security Boulevard this week, Dan?
Big things, Nestor. Thanks for asking. We just had a big weekend, sold a ton of vehicles, and we have Black Friday coming up. Black Friday event this weekend, Friday and Saturday, post-Thanksgiving. It's always our biggest weekend of the year.
When do you open? You don't open at midnight or anything crazy, right?
No, we'll open up at 6 a.m.
6 a.m.
But we'll go all the way through midnight, and believe it or not, we have people here waiting for us to open up our doors at 6 a.m. It happens every year. It always amazes me, but you know what? When the deals are that good, people will line up. Price gets them in here, and service keeps them here.
Well, I'll tell you what, you can find Dennis out there at the SSV on WNST. Dennis, just one thing on Thanksgiving, because this might be the last time I join you before we get to this. It is amazing in this country how much the country loves football, right? And we've talked about this, and we've all experienced this in Baltimore. I got off a plane at 5:30 in the morning from Milwaukee with all these Ravens fans who had driven a couple hours down from Green Bay and sat out in the freezing cold. We all love football. I really do think Thanksgiving is the reason we love football here. And I think in my household, and I know we grew up with some sort of similar backgrounds as children of immigrants as well. Thanksgiving was one of those days where in this country, the football games are always on everywhere, even in households that don't necessarily love football and Thanksgiving. I think that Thanksgiving has been the greatest part of making football what it has become in this country over the last 50 years, because everyone stops, everyone gets together, and football is a part of it. And I think that that's really changed over the last quarter of a century during my lifetime, that football has become such an integral part. And I think that's why people took the knee so seriously and were upset, because football feels like something that your family is involved with in this country.
No, I think you're correct, Nestor. Even if you're not watching the games, the games are still on every TV set in every household. Of course, we get the Vikings and Lions. That's probably going to be the best game on Thanksgiving Day. Chargers or Cowboys, and then Giants at Redskins. But look, I'm looking forward to that 12:30 game between the Vikings and the Lions to see what they got. Vikings look very strong, but to your point, it doesn't matter what's on TV, who's playing. We're going to tune in between bites of turkey and ham, cranberry sauce, and pumpkin pie and apple cider.
Well, yeah, anything we do to get more Case Keenum. It's like more cowbell, more Case Keenum. I was talking to Coach Billick about him.
That's a muscle team. I can't believe, again, they handled a decent Rams team, but it just goes to show you, defense and a running game, special team, good coaching could take you a long way.
In my lifetime watching football, there have been very, very few backup quarterbacks. When you think of your Bill Troops or your Don Strocks or, people that are lifer, Terry Hanratty, backup quarterbacks, right, that become something. I talk about Kurt Warner, and I guess you obviously could throw Case Keenum into that at this point as being a guy who you always just thought of him as being a backup guy, never going to be a star quarterback. It feels like the stars are always born on draft weekend, that once you're decreed that second or third quarterback, you never make that move. And seeing Brett Hundley run around out there, I wonder why Kaepernick doesn't have a job. And I see we're going to see Kaiser, we're going to see Jacoby Brissett, we're going to see some bad quarterbacks running around. But every once in a while, there's like that Case Keenum that surprises you, and he's 8-2 all of a sudden.
What about the disaster in Buffalo? They benched Tyrod Taylor after one bad game where the defense gave up 300 yards rushing, and this kid, now fifth-round draft pick Nathan Peterman, just had like 2 or 3 interceptions the first 5 minutes, and then they lose by 30 points.
Yeah, well,
it's a disaster.
The quarterbacking in this league, and we're going to see it over the next 6 weeks, which goes back to where we began here on Thanksgiving. I am thankful for Joe Flacco, even if some of you aren't. How about that, Dennis?
Yep, I am too. He's not great, but he's better than average. He's not an average quarterback, and people who think he's an average quarterback don't know anything about football.
He can be great on any given day, but he needs circumstances to be around him. So
he needs an offensive line. We see Dak Prescott without his left tackle and without his star running back, and how exposed he is. We see Mike McCarthy without Aaron Rodgers. He's no longer a genius, right? So give me the Jimmies and Joes over the X's and O's any day of the week.
Jimmies and Joes over the X's and O's. I'm going to let you leave it on that. Dennis Kalatzis is the SSV on WNST, and we will check in with you and everybody over at Coons Ford Security Boulevard. Have a great turkey. Don't eat too much pumpkin pie, Dad. All right? There he goes, Dennis Colatzos, the SSV on WNST. You can find me anytime, anywhere out on the internet, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook Live, including from Lambeau Field with Luke Jones on Sunday out there in the cold. I said, man, this video's got to be less than 3 minutes. I don't know that I can do more than 3 minutes. It's about 25 degrees out there, the breath coming out. But all of that up on our social media channels. You can always email me, nasty@WNST.net. And don't forget, Dennis and the group over Coons Ford Security Boulevard sponsoring our WNST tech service. And, of course, that's for breaking news, which the Orioles aren't a part of much recently, but we'll keep you up to date on everything going on with the Ravens as they get ready for the Houston Texans. Long holiday weekend, lots of Thanksgiving cheer here, there, and everywhere. You can find me, nasty@WNST.net, and we are WNST.net AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.